Howdy gamers, Keith Hershey here. RedMageGM recently did a video, I think it was yesterday, basically doing a tour of his dice, and he called out me along with a bunch of other YouTubers to also do a tour of our dice, and I think this is a pretty cool little project. So I happily agreed to do it. Alright, so I've got a bunch of different dice here, and by all means this is not my collection, but I pulled out some of the highlights of my dice, and I'll show off the rest as we go. We'll start off with these three dice here. These are my favorite dice. They're also my oldest dice that I have. So I first started to learn how to play D&D back in 1982. My father was teaching me while we were stationed in Erlangen, West Germany. That's right, West Germany, when it was West and East Germany back then. The Berlin Wall was still going. Well, this is also my favorite set of dice. They got the nice sharp edges. They've got a nice roll to them, and they're evenly, there's some even rolls. They're definitely a balanced set of dice. So that is my favorite set of dice that I have. Along with that, next in line, my go-to set usually is this set of game science dice that I got. I'm getting older, so I like high contrast dice, and I'm going to have to go and ink some of these up a little bit more. Some of them are fading. But I like the high contrast, easy to see what the roll is. I'm not having to squint my eyes and all that good stuff like in the old days. And I also like them because they're a balanced die. They do not favor one side or the other. You get a true balance, true rolls out of these. So I can get really high rolls, I can get really low rolls, or in between. So I like them because it gives me a nice balance. Alright, next up, we've got this set of dice here. Nothing too special. This came with the Mites of Foundelver starter set for 5th edition. Alright, next up, we have this set of dice. This is a handmade set of dice. My good friend Jamie Blunt here in the San Luis Valley, she made me a set of dice. I had done an intro to D&D session, I think it was right before COVID hit, and one of my other friends stepped in to help because I had such a good turnout of people wanting to learn how to play. And Jamie was one of those players. She learned to play D&D along with a lot of other good friends. And I found out she liked making her own dice. She asked me to 3D print her some dice because she wanted to make her own mold to cast her dice. And she asked me, kind of what colors and whatnot. So I 3D printed her a master set. She made molds, and then she cast these, and she gave these to me. So, yeah, such awesome handmade dice. So thank you, Jamie, if you're watching. All right. So let's move on. I got some more dice here. Some more older dice. These are several dice that were given to me by my high school buddy, Jed Caridio. Right after high school, when we graduated, he went into the Army. And when he did so, he gifted me a bunch of modules and a bunch of dice. And a bunch of these dice came, are from that. I have a bunch somewhere else too, but these ones I was able to easily identify are some of the ones that Jed gave me. So thank you, Jed. All right, let's move on to another dice here. This one's got a little bit of history. So one of my best friends, Jason Miller, who when we lived in California, he had moved away from Los Banos down to Hanford, and his father was a prison guard for the state of California, and the prisoners would make dice and all kinds of stuff. But anyhow, Jason had brought home a set of these dice, or his dad brought home a set of these dice, and a lot of fond memories with those as well. This here is what's left of one of my sets of dice from the Los Banos days. I used the heck out of these back in the day. Unfortunately, I've lost the rest of these. So we got those. Let's look at these Retroverse dice here. So I got this set and this set. And these were given to me by my buddy Chris Locke. He lives here in the San Luis Valley. He is the one who did Retroverse. It's a PDF he did on Kickstarter a while ago. He was he was very successful in launching that Kickstarter. He eventually got it out. But, we had numerous talks. He kind of picked my brain because he knew I was doing some freelancing with Frog Gods and trying to figure out how to make make it work and do the Kickstarter and everything. But as a thank you, he gave me some dice. So, thank you, Chris, if you're watching. Okay. Got some more dice here. These, I think, came in one of the starter sets in the 90s for 2nd edition D&D. I think. I'm pretty sure they came in a box set. But I do not recall exactly where. So they're fairly old dice. Let's see here. Let's try to figure out some more dice here. I'll grab this big old monster set here. Give me a second to grab all these. So there's a lot of dice in this set. You're probably like, wow, that's a lot. This is a dice set for DC Dungeon Crawl Classics. So we got a 30-sided die. And then, oops, I don't want to lose them all. And then I think this is a 24-sided die. And then we got a 20-sided die. And then is this a 16? Looks like a 16-sided die. Let's see here. I only see 7 sides on that, so that must be a 7-sided die. This looks like a 5-sided die. Standard D10, D8, D12. Here is a regular D20, percentile die, D6, D4, and a D3. That's a set from DCC. Move those off to the side. All right, next up. Every once in a while I like to improvise as I'm running through games. But this is, kind of a random dungeon. So you can, roll rooms, hallways, whatnot. Pretty cool. I got this one here is a hit location die. So if you're wanting, to put a little bit more oomph into your combats, you could roll the, where you hit. So there's that. All right. We're going to look at this guy here. This die has some history to him. I do not know where I got this die at. I don't know. It might have come from all the mini dice that Jed gave me. I don't know. But this dice, I refer to it, this is my mean dice. When this dice gets rolled, it loves rolling D20s. Or rolling crits. Sometimes it won't roll, but it's notorious for being very rough to my players. So my players, when this one comes out, if they know better, they know that, oh gosh, you're rolling that die today. Oh man, what do we do to piss you off? So That's my mean die. And I have another die that looks similar to that, but it's not the mean die. But that one is definitely the mean die. Then we have another D12. This is like a game science die. I got this from North Texas a while back. I was supposed to DM a game in one room, and there was something that had happened where they changed the room. The room I went to that I thought I was supposed to be in, time came. I waited like 10 minutes. There was no one that showed up. So I'm like, okay, I guess I just didn't get anyone that was interested in playing. So I went and was doing some other stuff. And shortly thereafter, I think it was Jen Glazer, found me. And she's like, hey, your game's ready. They're looking for you. I'm like, oh, I went over to the room and there was no one there. And then that's when we discovered there was a room change. So she took me over. I ran my game. And one of the players there, I do not remember his name. I apologize. If you're watching this, please leave your name below. But he gave me this dice, kind of as a thank you. So that was awesome. And since we're talking about North Texas, you're probably wondering why I have a couple gemstones. I got a bunch over here. But these two came from games in which I was a player with Stefan Pokorny. He runs some games at North Texas. I got two gemstones. So I don't know if I got both of them in the same game or if I was in two different games. I think I might have been in two different games with them. But he runs a really cool game, and at the end, he's got a little bag he opens up, and there's a bunch of gemstones. And that's your reward for completing the mission. And it's also kind of a reward, a keepsake from your game with Stefan Pokorny. And for those that don't know, Stefan Pokorny, he is the owner of Dwarven Forge Terrain. But in the last game I ran, Stefan ran it. I was there. Errol Otis was one of the players, so I got a chance to play along with Errol Otis. There were some other guys. I got some some pictures on my Facebook of all the players. Bill Meinhardt was there, world's largest RPG collector. He was one of the players as well. But we gained with a fantastic group of folks. I was very lucky. I've got fond memories of that game. So thank you, Stefan Pokorny, if you're watching this. All right. All right, so let's move on to some other ones. I think these are... It might have been from Gamehole Con. Gamehole Con or Gary Con. Quite a few years back, when I was doing some freelancing and some consulting, RPG consulting with Frog God Games. And at the booth, they had a whole bunch of dice all over the place. And I was like, oh, free dice. Oh, that's cool. But I noticed no one was grabbing them. But I went ahead and grabbed one of each color, because it's cool. And it's got the little Orcus symbol on there for Necromancer Games. Well, the thing is if you notice, most people put their logo where the D6 goes. But they put the Orcus on the ones. So I guess a lot of people were not picking them up because of that. But I went and grabbed one of each because I was like, oh, those are cool. So we got those. I got a bunch of other special die here. I worked at Hobby Town here locally for a while, and they did a big Magic the Gathering set. And they had a bunch of these extra D4s from a Magic tournament they did. I forgot what it was, but I got one that night. Let's see here. I got a free RPG Day dice from the 12th annual one from 2018. Actually, I got two of those, it looks like. Okay, and then I have me a Gamehole Con dice from when I went to Gamehole Con. I've got an Adventure a Week dice. I have a dice from Rise of the Drow Kickstarter for Adventure a Week. I've got a dice from Tom Tullis. I got at GaryCon for Fat Dragon Games. I got a dice when I went to Gamehole Con from Dark Naga. I got this set of dice here. I'm not sure what that logo is or where that dice came from. If you know, leave it a comment in the comments below. I also had this die. This was like a wilderness, like bass fishing game. You can barely see it on there, but it's got a bunch of fish on there instead of pips. I'm not sure what game that came from. So if you know, please leave a comment down below. Also got this dice. I'm not sure where it came from, but it's got a skull and crossbones. Yeah, again, not sure where I picked that one up at. I also have this die. I'm not sure what game that is from. So once again, if you know, please leave a comment down below. All right, moving on. We got this set of dice here. My good friend Emily Lettringer bought these for me. I don't know if it was, I think might have been a Christmas present or a birthday present. I can't remember. But how awesome it was that she bought me this set of dice. It's a bunch of geomorphs, like a cavern set of geomorphs. So you randomly roll and you can complete custom dungeons and caverns with that. So that was awesome. So thank you, Emily, if you're watching. Appreciate it. Got a random set of dice. I think I bought those to sell since it's got the price on there. I got this small little set of dice here from James Radji of Lamentations of the Flame Princess at North Texas a few years ago when I bought some books from him. Okay. Moving on. For the 50th anniversary of D&D, I went and I attended both Founders and Legends, followed by GaryCon, and I DM'd a bunch of games. And for doing so, I got one of these sets of dice. This is kind of like the old set where you get the dice sets and they furnish a crayon for you to color in your dice sets. Been very anchoring. I've been anchoring to just pop this open and color the dice. But I've resisted so far. We'll see. Along with that, I got a set of these dice here from Gaxworks for DMing. It's a pretty cool set. You got a D20 that functions as the percentile D10s, which is kind of unique. This D10 it's a polyhedral, but it only goes up to 10. So that's your 10 die. And then this one here is your regular D20. Oop. They feel like game science die. They're that nice precision, sharp edge set of dice. Unfortunately, I have not rolled these yet, so I do not know how they perform yet. Waiting to bust these out one day. All right, next up here, I got some Tales of the Valiant metal dice. And unfortunately, I am not a huge fan of metal dice, so I don't have a whole lot of metal dice. But this is a really cool looking set of dice. So I guess part of me, I'm afraid of metal dice at my table because I run with a lot of 3D printed terrain and minis and whatnot. And every time I hear that thud from players, I'm like, oh, please be rolling in a tray. I'm just afraid one of these days, one of these dice are going to roll and just break something. But so far, I've been lucky. Also at the 50th anniversary, I got this set of dice. And they are liquid filled. And they got a little eyeball in there that's kind of watching you as you roll the dice. Tip for those of you that have liquid filled dice, unfortunately we had a player last winter. She left her dice in her car and it froze. It was freezing outside. And later that day she brought them in and she was rolling the dice and they were acting really funky. And she's like, what's wrong with my dice? They're not rolling right. And then she was noticing some wet spots. Well, it turns out the liquid filled dice had frozen and cracked the dice. And then when we came in, they were leaking all the liquid stuff inside. It ruined her dice set. So if you have liquid filled dice, make sure they don't freeze or you're not going to be a happy camper. All right. Let me move some of this out of the way. Let's see here. Gotta make room here. Hopefully y'all are still with me here. All right, let's look at some other dice. I got this set of dice, a gelatinous cube dice. I think this was from Heliana's Kickstarter. They're a really cool looking green set of dice. They look really dark on the video, but they're pretty light. But they're also liquid. Well, I don't think they're liquid filled, but inside there's little skulls, like, you know, of a gelatinous cube on there. And then on the facing dice, it got the little symbol. But cute little set of dice. Alright, next up, we'll do our Nightfell dice. Nightfell is a 5e clone, I guess. They have a unique mechanic where a lot of features of your character depend on the phases of the moon. And of course I had to get that set of dice. That is such a cool aspect. So I got a whole bunch of D8s that got all the different phases of the moon, and then 2 just regular D20s to go with that. Nightfell is really cool, especially the bestiary. If you have that bestiary book, the art in there, especially if you like grim dark, oh, it's got some wonderful art in there. All right, next up, we'll do some Elderbrain stuff. So, Crown of the Oathbreaker. These are some nice looking dice you'll see here. So that's the Crown of the Oathbreaker dice set here. See if there's a special symbol. I can't remember. Where is it? I'm looking for the D20. I'm not seeing it. Oh, it's just a regular D20. Okay. So nothing special on the facing dice. But cool looking set though. Next up is its continuation, Torrent of the Spell Hoarder. And there are also some really nice looking dice. I also backed the newer one, Light of the Spellbringer, I think. Can't wait to see what that one looks like. Let's see here. We also have one of the newest sets I got from Cosmere. These are pretty cool looking dice. And then you'll notice there's some of these D6s that look a little different, and they have some different symbols. These are the plot die mechanic. So on certain D20 rolls, you'll also roll the plot die, like if you're doing skill checks, and one is complications, the other is an opportunity. So it kind of adds a little bit more to the die roll. So you might get a success, but with a complication or maybe you failed, but there's an opportunity with that. So it asks for some unique GM opportunities there. All right, so we got those. Okay, well, let's move on. And very recently, I got my Aliens Evolved dice. A nice little dice bag that this came in. I haven't popped the dice up, so we got your stress die with the face hugger, and then you got your, that's the ones, and on the 6 side, it's your little reticle there. And then, of course, you have your standard set of dice there, D6, it's got the reticle. So that's your Aliens RPG dice set. Another recent addition is I finally got my Dolmen Wood, nice little dice bag with the dice set that came in. Those look really nice and sharp. Okay. And then the One Ring. I think RedMage also showed off his dice, so you got the Gandalf set of dice. So on the D6, you got a special symbol there. Actually, let me pull these out here. And then, of course, on the D12s, you've got your Eye of Sauron, and then there's the Gandalf rune as well. And the starter set, when it first came out, yeah, this is one of the boo-boos. The 11 is supposed to be the Eye of Sauron. The 12 is supposed to be your Gandalf. So they had to redo the dice sets. So this is one of the mess-ups from that set. And then I also got the Dark set, the Saruman set. And it's basically the same way as the other ones, just with the black and the red color to it. Let's see here. And then I have many other dice sets. I got this huge bag of dice, random dice. A lot of these I have no idea where a lot of these came from. I used to buy sets all the time when I was younger, and I've lost some, I've gained some as you game. But this is my secondary bag. This thing is huge. You can see the mouse here. See how big that thing is. And then, of course, I have my primary bag, which is this one. It used to be a tarot card bag here. And I still got a bunch of dice in there. Just a bunch of random dice. But this is the one I use most of the time. I'll put a lot of these ones that I like to use in here, along with my mini from my campaign. I don't know if I mentioned it. It's Morgan the Red, my cleric in Fonz's game. And then, of course, I have another large box and a small tub downstairs of other random dice I got. No special stories behind those, but at one point I thought you could not have enough dice. Well, I've come to the conclusion you can have too many dice. So I have given some dice away. I've sold some dice. I'm at a point where unless I see something really cool and unique, I kind of just shy away from collecting new dice sets. Anyhow, that's my collection of dice. Hopefully you found this enjoyable, and sorry it was so long. There's quite a bit of dice to go over. And if you haven't watched it yet, go over to RedMageGM's YouTube channel. He's the one that started off this dice tour. And go give him a like and see what dice he has. There's a lot of other YouTubers that are tagged that'll also be doing a tour of their dice, so keep a lookout. Anyhow, happy gaming. Talk to you later. Bye.